for me to be able to understand risk, can you dumb it down for me to the base?
Okay. The way we like to look at risk is, how soon are you going to need your money? And how much of a risk is it going to be that it's either very high up or very far down? So when you're looking at putting your money in a bank, you can kind of buy a guarantee from them. The only risk is that the bank closes down, but I didn't see the bank closing down tomorrow, or Standard Bank, whatever. So there your risk is going to be extremely low because they almost can guarantee you a percentage, especially if you buy a fixed deposit. And if you are invested in kind of like a money market fund, so directly with your savings account or whatever, or in like a one-day note to select, the Reserve Bank might change the rate slightly, but it's going to be pretty fixed. You know, it might be 4%, 3.5%, 4.5%. So it's going to be very steady. So if you need the money in a year, what are the odds of it being different from what we anticipated? Or what are the odds of it going down, so to speak, that money?
Oh, right.
So I like to look at risk as how far is the expected outcome going to vary from the actual outcome.
Okay, that makes it a lot easier to actually understand.
That's how I like to look at it. So my risk isn't every single company in the world closing down tomorrow, because that's almost it's impossible. That's impossible. So my risk is, if I want to travel overseas and save for a nice overseas holiday, and I say, okay, I'm going to put my money into 100% into equities, into stocks. My risk is a year later, that's when we have our crash, and I've saved 50,000 Rand, let's say. Markets are down 30%, so that means I'm down to 35,000 Rand, right? So my risk is I need the money then in a year's time, and that's what's happened. So I would rather go for much lower risk.
Let me see if I get this. I'm going to use a crush. Me and you both love football.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence was drafted #1.
Right.
So they expect him to be a generational talent.
Right.
But if he gets hurt at the end of the season, now what's that going forward? Like, what are we going to do? We picked him #1. We believe he's going to be here for the next 10 to 15 years, but then he gets hurt. So it's kind of, am I willing to take that chance to say, you know what, this is the guy for the next 10 years, but he might get hurt, but I'm willing to take that chance. So that's my level of acceptable risk.
So Trevor Lawrence would be like your equities, because Tom Brady would be maybe like cash. He's been playing for 20 years. You've got a long track record. I think he's been hurt once, freak accident, never been hurt pretty much in his entire career, right? You know, if you get him, he's going to throw pretty much 65%. You know, he's going to get X amount of touchdowns. You know, he's steady. So beginning to end, you know what you're going to get. Then you're going to get maybe slightly more risk, like maybe an Aaron Rodgers. You don't know what his move's going to be like. Stuff like that. Trevor Lawrence would be the highest risk, but he's also got the highest potential reward, because if you stick with him for 15 years, you've got a very, very high chance of achieving a lot of success. So the risk is he gets injured, so stock market will crash. But the reward is
he might win you a Super Bowl.
He wins you that Super Bowl. Whereas you'll know for like maybe Aaron Rodgers, he's going to get you to a good place, but his odds of winning the Super Bowl are not as high over the next 15 years.
Yes.
You know, so